now your child is 10. Is it too late?
No, it's
Okay.
never too late with investing. I
Okay.
think that's also a myth. A lot of people feel like they've missed out in the past. The really, really important one is the tax-free savings account. It's
Okay.
such a gem. It allows you to save money and invest tax-free, which allows you to have more money now to compound.
I think from what I understand from investing myself, you also have a tolerancy, right? Like as a person. So for me, and I'll tell everybody, my tolerancy is very low. I don't want to lose any money. And so it's good to talk to an investment, a financial advisor, and tell them what tolerancy you're willing to live with when you transfer from institutions.
Yes. Yeah. So it's really important. It's a great point that you bring up. You should understand the rate of return you're getting, the fees that you're paying.
Hi, everyone. It's Chantel here again, and I'm here with the Sandwich Years podcast. For those of you who are first time coming, just so you know what Sandwich Years is when you're typically taking care of the top bun, which could be your parents, and then also taking care of the bottom bun, which could be your child, your niece, nephew, or could also be a fur baby potentially. And then you're also trying to take care of yourself and your spouse and things like that. So you're really taking care of everybody. And so with that said, during that journey, we need help. And so today we've got a supportive brand who's here with us, who's going to help us. What do we need to take care of and things like that from a wealth management perspective. So I want to introduce you to my friend here. Her name is Ellen. And Ellen, if you can take a moment and just tell everybody what you do and how you support people in the Sandwich Years.
Hello, my name is Ellen. I'm an investment advisor with RBC Dominion Securities. I started off really wanting to become a teacher and I pursued Teachers College, but during that journey, I started working with my dad, who's a portfolio manager, and I fell in love with helping people with their finances as I notice and understand that it helps people feel confident and can reach their goals that they're trying to achieve in life. And so I found it really rewarding. So that's where I changed my career path and have been helping people with their finances and investments and financial planning ever since.
Awesome. Okay, so that's awesome. And so being in the Sandwich Years and also even working with your dad, you've seen so many different types of clients and also seen your dad go through the Sandwich Years because that's kind of how we met. And you were telling me about that. So the whole thing about wealth management and even getting started, like right now we live in a tricky day and age. Like there's not a lot of money around. How do we make sure that we kind of try to accumulate money, even in these days and age when we're sort of trying to make sure we pay, the saying is pay Peter, borrow from Paul, and kind of do all that stuff. What do we need to do? Like what essential things do we need to do first?
Yeah, I think it's really important to come up with a plan and just have an idea of what your current financial situation is. I think finances is something that a lot of people ignore and try to push off because it might have some sort of stigma attached to them. They might feel embarrassed, or maybe they are in a really great financial situation. They just don't want to take the time to really understand what investments they have and how that can help them in their future. So just having a really good understanding of where you are and seeing the whole picture, and then project that out to the future of seeing what you're currently doing and seeing how that will help for your future, I think is really important, just knowing your situation.
Okay, so let's start. First and foremost, most people are either in a job or self-employed. The key here is when you're in a job and self-employed, are there different accounts that you could set up to start saving a little bit? Like, should you even start saving a little bit, or do you sit there and not? Like, for yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on that?
Absolutely. I think setting up RSPs are really helpful for people trying to reduce the taxes they're paying during their working years. And then in retirement, you can start withdrawing the money and where they'll be in a lower tax bracket. So that's a really beneficial account. But the really, really important one is the tax-free savings account. It's such a gem. It allows you to save money and invest tax-free, which allows you to have more money now to compound, and that snowball effect just helps grow that account. And then in your retirement, you can withdraw it completely tax-free, or you can pass on your wealth to your kids or any beneficiary that you have that you would like the money to go to completely tax-free. So it's a great way to pass over wealth to the next generation.
Awesome. Okay, so tax-free savings account and things to know about tax-free. I think there's a cap, right? Like normally, every individual can actually only invest a certain amount. Is it all the same for everybody or no?
So every year you have the annual contribution limit that you can contribute. So this year it's $7,000 in 2025, but the account started in 2009. So if you were 18 in 2009, you can start contributing, and then this year you have 102,000 contribution room that you're able to contribute. So you can't go over that. If you were 18 as of last year, you would have been able to contribute last year's contribution limit and this year's.
Okay, so it's a cumulative.
Exactly.
Yes. Which is actually quite nice. So if you have never used it before, you still have that opportunity to do so.
Right.
And so you would advise to say, you know what, even take a little portion, like $100 every other week or every month, or just to start.
Absolutely.
And then if an emergency arises, which unfortunately always happens with TFSA accounts, can you take it out?
Yes. So you can take it out at any time. And again, you're not taxed on the amount that you withdraw from that account. And the great thing about it is that in 2 years' time, when you're ready to contribute that amount back, it's the dollar value that you withdraw. So if you have a TFSA worth $102,000, it grows to $200,000, and you fully withdraw that, you can contribute $200,000 back after that year has passed.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so it's always good. So TFSA, one account, RSPs, if you can do it. Some people who are working, they have contributions that the company will do, which is fabulous, and they'll match and do all that fun stuff. If you're self-employed or you own your own business, if you can, you possibly can do the RSPs, but you could do the tax-free savings accounts as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's taking care of accumulative. And the key here is when you do take them and put them in their different investment portfolios, you would work with somebody like yourself who can actually invest it to like GICs and different investment things as well, right?
Yeah.
And so you would advise on sitting with somebody, because I think from what I understand from investing myself, you also have a tolerancy, right? Like as a person. So for me, and I'll tell everybody, my tolerancy is very low. I don't want to lose any money. And so it's good to talk to an investment, a financial advisor, and tell them what tolerancy you're willing to live with, as well as your expectations. And then you can actually model the right package for you.
Yeah, it's really important to understand what your investments are and make sure that you're comfortable with the investments that you do have. It's not fun if you're losing sleep at night. And so you want to just make sure that the risk tolerance is set to the right amount. And what we do is we focus on buying really great quality companies, and those companies pay dividends, and it's giving you an income that you can help compound for the future. And then also in retirement, you can use that income to supplement the expenses that you have in your life. But the key and why we invest in great quality companies like Canadian National Railway, it's something that transports our goods across Canada. They're very durable and great quality companies where we need them and use them in society every day. And so no matter what the fads are in life, there's still a need for goods to be shipped across Canada, or Walmart. We need groceries and personal toiletries. And so we want to be looking for companies that we know that will be around for a long time.
Okay. So, and that's your expertise. And that's what, so it's not that we have to worry and focus on all that stuff. The good thing is to get a great financial advisor who can actually look at all those things and then suggest which ones are best for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when you're taking care and maybe starting your portfolio. The other piece of it now is, now we've got kids. And so I know for me, when I first had my daughter, somebody came to me and said RESPs. And I was like, what? Like, I just had this baby. I don't even know what's going on. And so they're like, you want to put away for their school? And I was like, I want to make sure they have diapers. Yes. What's RSPs, RESPs, and how do you suggest about the RESPs, and how do you navigate around that piece? Because I know a company came to me right away. We signed up, and then right after that, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. We just kept paying. Right. So talk to us a little bit about RESPs?
Yeah, RESPs are so beneficial, although they can be overwhelming. They're a little confusing in terms of what they do and how you can withdraw from them as well. But as soon as your child is born and you apply for a SIN number, you're able to open up an RESP, and there's two styles. So there's an individual RESP, which you can have one child, one beneficiary on, or there's a family beneficiary or a family RESP. So if you have 2 kids, 3 kids, then the accumulation of the funds within it can be shared amongst the kids.
Okay.
And so that's something to think about, because if one child goes to college or one goes to university and they require a different amount of funds to fund their education, then it's really helpful to be able to share that pool of funds and distribute as appropriate. But the key is that there's a matching with the government, which is so beneficial and just expediting that compounding within it. As when you put $2,000, the government will give you $500 per year per beneficiary. And so that allows you to already have a gain in terms of the compounding, and that over time, if it's invested, it can grow into a large sum to then help fund your child's education. And it's a lot easier allowing it to sit in an account and compound over time if you're able to contribute now. And then when the kids are ready to go off to school, you don't have to come up with the full amount.
Which is perfect. So now question, if you didn't start when the baby came out, like if when they came to the door, you were sleeping, and they come to you, like now your child is 10, is it too late?
No, it's never too late with investing. I think that's also a myth. A lot of people feel like they've missed out in the past, or they just don't know enough. And I think it's really important now is the best time. And you have a large runway ahead of you. So even if the kid's 10 years old, then you still may have 16, 17. Kids may not be going to school right away after high school anyways. Like they might take a gap year. So it's 6-7 years is a good time for the funds to grow. And,
So never too late to start, and it can be little bits of money. So like, I mean, when you're having your child and then you go on mat leave, your funds are already limited to begin with. Absolutely. And so like even for us, it was kind of tricky because it was just like, okay, well, we had to turn it off. And then we turned it on when we went back to work. And then if you're not having your own, like if you're not working corporate and you own your own business, funds aren't always coming at the same time. So you can also make contributions at certain points in the year, right? Like it doesn't have to be monthly or anything like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. You can set up however you would like. You can do ad hoc contributions where if you come into some funds this month, you can contribute, but I would recommend setting up a pre-authorized contribution plan as soon as possible just to get you in the habit, because I think it's easy to put $25 here and there when you don't even know it's in your bank account if your finances allow. And so if they're coming out before you're even seeing the funds from your income, then it's a lot easier than trying to you see it sometimes. It's easier to spend now than put it aside.
Okay. So never too late to start saving for retirement, never too late to start saving for their children's education, never too late to even put some money aside for your future, period. Absolutely. If you start accounts, now this is the other piece. If I start an account with one company and I'm like, they're like that, you might see that they're not investing properly, or depending on the type of, can you transfer it? Like, can I transfer something to you and things like that? Like, can you transfer from institutions?
Yes. Yeah. So it's really important. It's a great point that you bring up. You should understand the rate of return you're getting, the fees that you're paying, and just be really mindful of making sure that that money is working hard for you. And so if you aren't happy with how an account's performing or the advisor that you're dealing with, then you can absolutely transfer that from institution to institution.
All of those accounts.
Yes. RSPs, TFSAs, LIRAs.
Everything.
Everything.
Okay, because I think too, one of the myths are, and actually even ethical, you start with one institution and you stay with them and you're loyal. Or sometimes you spread your finances across different institutions. Like I will say it for my mom, what she did was they didn't trust any banks. So what they did was they put money in every single bank. And like, I know when she passed, I had to go to multiple banks to tell them what was going on. I was in tears. And one of my financial advisors, she's like, you got it now. Go there, go and tell them all so that you can just get it done. And so knowing this is that we could transfer things. I think we just didn't. Some of us never knew that. Also, with some of the funds too, when we do set up investments, it's always key, like beneficiaries. Like if we put beneficiaries on things, one of the things I learned is it doesn't necessarily have to be willed over. The funds are accessible right away. Is that kind of how it is as well?
Yeah. You bring up both great points. Having the account spread over, it's something I see a lot, and it's all about comfort level. But I do encourage people to think about just the mess they're leaving behind for their loved ones, and the stress that it is, that and responsibility to have to go to each institution and show a death certificate and all of the paperwork and will in some cases, to be able to move the account. So that's a great point, and just be aware of it and making sure that you're keeping that job for your executor as simple as possible.
The key too is if you are going to spread your finances and wealth amongst different, you got to document it. Like,
Absolutely.
How is someone going to find it? Like, I'm sure you have lots of stories where someone sort of comes to you and says, hey, I need an estate account. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, where are we getting the funds from? And they're like, here's the list.
Yes.
Is there a lot of stories like that?
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely important to know what you have and communicate that
and where it
to
is.
your executor. Absolutely. And on the beneficiary front, it's really important to put beneficiaries on your registered account. So that's RSP, TFSA, and LIRA. And those accounts, if you don't have a beneficiary, they have to be probated and go through the will. So if you want to reduce the probate fee that you're paying here in Ontario, then it's really important to have those beneficiaries on it. And then also the beneficiary has a lot quicker access to the funds and not have to wait for the will to be probated to get access to them one day. So it can go through the will, but it would be ideal if you put beneficiaries on.
Okay. And so we'll talk beneficiaries in a second, but you said LIRA. I've never heard that account. What is the LIRA account?
So it's a locked-in retirement account, and so that's what typically your pension through work, if it's a defined contribution pension plan, will flow into. And so this account, you're not able to take it during your working years until a certain age. And then once you do go to unlock that, once the maximum is at age 71, you have to convert it to a RIF, and that's you start taking the funds out similar to what you would do with your RSP when you turn 71 and a RIF. And so you have to start taking a minimum amount out each year. But the idea is that those funds are set aside for your retirement years, so you don't have access to it during your working years, and except for special occasions. So if you were sick or in a really hard financial situation, there's ways to unlock it in some aspects, but for the most part, it is locked in, but you're able to change how it's being invested, which is really important to be aware of how it is invested and growing, so you do have more money to live off of in retirement.
Okay. So now let me just make sure I understand this, and maybe others might know this, but it's your pension account. So can you move your pension account from the pension house, or you can actually manage it in the house that it's in?
Yeah. So with your employer, while it's with your employer and you're working for that company, then typically there's certain investments that you can choose to have it invested within and at the provider that your work is dealing with. And so during that time, there's a little bit less flexibility in terms of changing those investments. But as soon as you retire or you change jobs and you're no longer working for that company, then you can move that and hold it wherever you would like.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that, because, I mean, the reality is we'll work at multiple places and you're collecting pensions at multiple places. And to be quite honest, that's another thing that you leave behind is your pension. Like,
yes.
if it, and so elderlies will leave their pensions behind, and so their loved ones have to go find their pensions.
And
And so
yeah,
I didn't know we could do that. So, okay, so that's why it's always interesting making sure that you have a financial advisor who can actually sit there and help you consolidate and then also consolidate, but also help you invest it properly, because it's kind of probably sitting there. And based on the amount, I'm sure they're not actually managing it to the scale that you could possibly do. Like a financial advisor could manage it, because they're looking at it as a gross portfolio rather than individual portfolios, correct?
right. Yeah, there's different ways to invest, and depending on what you're in, it could be doing very well. But again, just take the time to know what you have, how it's growing, and be aware of where it is, because believe it or not, there's a lot of pensions that go unclaimed. There's pensions that are tied to people, more so defined benefit pension plans, and those are, you get an annual payment, but when you are a certain age, and it gets paid out. But you change addresses, you change contact information like phone number, email, and those pensions they don't know and can't find those people that they belong to. So make sure you know where your money is, and make sure it's benefiting you and working for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
pensions unclaimed? What?
I know, it's crazy.
I know. Okay, so can you help? Like if someone came to you and said, "Hey, these are the places I worked. I think I got pensions in the," can you help find them? Like, is that something that you help with, or is it something more to say, like your clients? Is there something more that you would be like, advise them how to go find it? Like,
Yeah, hopefully they'll be getting a statement. I think I pre-say that to make sure that if you do have a pension that's tied to you, just make sure you're updating them with the contact information if you do move and are changing your phone number. But if you're no longer working for that employer that it's tied to, then you can move it and consolidate it with the rest of your investments for the defined contribution pension plan. So like the LIRA accounts, for example, if it's the defined benefit pension plan, it will come just straight from that pension. But just make sure you're updating your contact information with them. That's really important.
So keys, you got to update your information for your own pension stuff, but for your parents, they also need to update their stuff. Your parents potentially, or elderly, whoever you're supporting, making sure they have a list of things like that, because I'm sure there's a lot of, and then luckily, hopefully your elderly parent has you to support. I'm sure there's a lot of elderly people who don't have support. And so they don't even know that memory, like they need to have the list and all of that stuff. So that is something we can do for our older generation, is remind them that they need to have the list, remind them to have a list of all the places they worked, because they probably didn't also know that they were collecting pensions and things like that, right?
And it's difficult, especially with the digital age. We have things, e-statements now. We're getting it sent electronically, and some of our parents may not be comfortable with that. And it's sort of out of your hands where you're not seeing it every day or every month when the statement comes in. So we do want to just help understand what we have, and that's something we like to do with our clients with a financial projection of just list all the assets you have and where it is, so that you're able to track and see how it's doing and look at it, your whole picture, because money adds up, and that pension or that RSP or TFSA funds, that can go a long way in the future to help support you.
Okay. So with the clients that you're seeing, what is normally the typical issues that you're seeing? Like what's happening with us in this age and stuff, like where we don't, for one, I guess we don't know where all our money is. And so that's, that's
Not
one
every person, but yeah,
most
sometimes.
of us don't. Well, most of us don't know. Like, I mean, you brought something to light for me, is this pension, and all of the places that I've worked in the past, I need to go and double check. Did I collect a pension there, and what address they have, what even if I got married or something, what name they have, because that's
Absolutely.
And then also, are there beneficiaries on there? Because sometimes, and this is no fault of anybody,
No.
you might not have had a kid at that point.
Right.
So you worked there, you didn't put the kid on there, you changed jobs, and now you have both kids on there or one kid on it.
Yes.
It's going to be key to make sure you update all of that stuff, because I'm sure you're seeing a lot of that where
Yes.
you're like, your name's not on here.
Yes, I see a lot of maiden names and just information that's not updated. So
Accurate. Okay.
it's definitely a great point. And we're all busy day to day. Like there's a lot going on, and sometimes your finances isn't the first thing that you're thinking of. You're trying to cook meals and take care of your parents, your kids, and so that's just really important to at least take once a year, once a month, just look at what you have and if anything needs to be changed to go forward. It's important. And yeah, we're given lots of information overload, so it's important just to find someone that you can trust and to get information from, just to make sure you're headed the right way that you're supposed to be, or that will help you get to your goals.
Okay. So creating wealth-wise, there's key accounts that you'll set up. Some will already set up for you because of where you worked potentially, but sometimes if you're self-employed or own your own business, you're going to have to set up yourself. So that's one thing. Protecting wealth is another piece of it, and literally protecting meaning know where your money is.
Right.
And make sure you know who the beneficiaries are, what names are on it, because while you're alive, you can make those changes. And so that's for yourself. But then for your parents, your elderly that you're supporting, making sure they know as well. And so if they know all of these pieces, it will protect them. Also, they could be getting funds that they never even knew they could start collecting as well. And so it's very, very important to help your elderly through that process. Now, when we add in dementia and all of those sorts of things, the power of attorney, we talked about this in an old episode, but you got to get a power of attorney. And a power of attorney will allow you to go in with your elderly with a financial advisor and do all of that aspect, right?
And the POA, you're never too young to have one. Anything can happen to us. You never know, an accident might occur. And so it's really important that we are setting it up so that a loved one can act on your behalf and make your decisions for you if you can't.
Okay. And so keys here, we learned a lot, and Ellen, I know you saw my face. I learned a lot in this session. I'm hoping you all did as well. And if somebody needs support, and even just to say, hey, this is what I'm looking at, this is where I want to go. You do assessments like that. And in sense of clients, you'll talk to them through it. And will you, like, if you're not the right person, the right financial advisor, or sitting there going, hey, is there any too small portfolio? Like, how does it work? Talk to us about that.
Most definitely. I'm always happy just to look over what you currently have and just give you some suggestions of what you could be doing to help strengthen that financial plan, that retirement plan. And so whether it's the right fit for me or somebody else, I'm happy to be that point of contact just to help reassure you and give you guidance, and to help give any knowledge that I do have. And then from there, if it is the right fit and you would like my help, then I'm of course more than happy to help you grow your wealth and also make sure that you're looking after yourself.
Perfect. So you heard it here. If you need any help in sense of for wealth management, Ellen's here to help you, as well as know where your money is. Like, know where your money is. There's not a lot of it around, and there is some around, but make sure you know where your money is. Create portfolio for yourself. It's never too late, as well as for yourself, your kids. Never too late for them to start either, right? Like, as well as to start working, and as soon as they have a SIN number, we're starting to put money away from them. Maybe they need to start putting money away from themselves. And then for our elderly, let's help them, like help them make sure they know so that they have and they're financially sound.
Yeah. It's amazing how money can compound. So definitely invest and let it grow over time.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of the day.